Hey everyone, my name's Richard Taylor, and we are going to talk about a couple of things today. The iPhone 14 Pro, as far as video goes, video, that's what I'm mainly interested in for the iPhone 14. I'm getting the Pro Max, and we're also going to talk about a response from Filmic Pro with some answers that I have not seen, some specific answers. So how those came about, I think we'll do Filmic Pro first. And then we'll talk about the iPhone 14. So how those answers came about was I contacted them, I messaged them. I didn't send them an email into support. I have a professional relationship with Filmic Pro. Good evening from Ireland. Oh, there we go. Yeah, somebody on Twitter posted, I usually post Eastern Daylight Time, Pacific Daylight Time, and then I do GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. And somebody on Twitter posted, it's set of 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. They said it's 7 p.m. UK/Ireland time. So I included UK and Ireland in there, which is 1 hour difference than Greenwich Mean Time, apparently. Speaking of that exact thing, UK and Ireland, let me pull this up. A little bit of sad news, if you don't know. The Queen Elizabeth, has passed away. So she lasted till September the 8th, 2022. Queen Elizabeth died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. So just a little side thing. We'll start with that. So we got a couple more comments. Hello from Man Cave Productions, Abu Dhabi. And so that was you. Colin Duffy said he posted the UK and the Ireland time. So that's why I put it up there. I said, I'll put that up there. I know sometimes GMT and UK and Ireland, they sync up. Right now they're an hour apart. Clocks changing. So we're going to talk about Filmic Pro specifically first. Like I said, I have a professional relationship with them. Filmic Pro has been on my podcast, on this live stream, and I also interviewed them at NAB 2019. So, Joel says, greetings from Dallas, Texas. Is it hot there in Dallas, Texas? I imagine it is. Right, today's not bad. It's only 77 degrees, but I have to tell you one thing. They're doing work in my attic, some HVAC work. So I might have to mute the microphone if it gets too loud, because it has gotten loud over the last hour or so. A lot of banging going on up there. They're redoing the duct work. So if I mute it for a second, don't worry about it. That's just, I'm muting it during the construction. So I hope some of you getting into the iPhone 14? We're going to talk about Filmic first, so people that don't want to talk about the iPhone 14 Pro Max, whatever. Oh, by the way, did you see somebody yesterday? He says, indeed, it's in the 90s, every day 90s Fahrenheit, every day this week. So it's only 77 here on the East Coast, which is good because my AC is knocked out right now. They're working in the attic. They're doing new duct work. They had to tear all the old duct work out. They're doing new duct work with commercial heavy gauge metal duct work. So I don't have any AC right now, but it's only 77, so it's not too bad. Did you see the people? So Apple event yesterday, some of the people were lucky. And let me just check one thing real quick. Looks like it's fine. Let me just one thing I see. Check one. All right, that's not too bad. So if you saw yesterday, people already have their hands on the iPhone 14. People already have their hands on it. They went to Apple Campus. Some of the big social influencers went to Apple Campus as smarty pants, and they got their hands on the iPhone 14. They get new iPhone, did order new Apple Watch, not the Ultra. Our friend Ben says, hello, Richard. How you doing, Ben? So I'm getting the iPhone 14 Pro Max. I'll be ordering tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. here on the East Coast, I believe. Still hot in Abu Dhabi, about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So anyway, some of the people, the influencers, got their hands on the iPhone 14 already. Me. I got my iPhone 14 ahead of time. I got a big one coming Friday, but look at this one I got. I even got it in white. The new iPhone 14. This is the regular, not the Pro. I'm getting the Pro Max coming up Friday, but this is, until then, I got the iPhone 14, the regular one. All right, let's get into the Filmic Pro situation. We're going to watch that right now. So let me see. Did I already do that? Huh. Let me pull that up. Filmic Pro. So like I said, I have a professional relationship with Filmic Pro. This is I'm just playing you a couple of short clips to show you. This is when I interviewed Filmic Pro at NAB 2019.
Feel free to check out our website. Hey Richard, how are you?
How are you doing?
Good.
Filmic Pro.
Yes.
You have anything new to announce for NAB?
We have two big announcements.
So that was when I interviewed them at NAB. And I also had them on this live stream along with, let me see, who did I have them on with? I had them on, wait, well, you'll find out here. It was a streaming summit event, so I had them on here too. LumaFusion. Look who we have today. We have Terry Morgan from, I'm going to say LumaFusion because I think most people know LumaFusion, but from the company is LumaTouch. And now all the way at the other side, we have Neil Barham from Filmic Pro. So I wanted to start by saying that I have a professional relationship with Filmic Pro. So that doesn't stop me from voicing my opinion about the situation, which I already did in one video. But one of the things that I said in that other video, when I said goodbye Filmic Pro, was I wanted to give them a chance to respond. So I did. I messaged them privately. So subscription is very undesirable for me. We're going to talk about that, but let's go into what's going on with my response. So I messaged them, and I'm going to show you the message. They gave me permission to show you the message back and forth we had. This was a private message. Let me see if this is the one. I think this is the one. So this is my message. Have you settled on a clear pricing model yet? There seems to be a lot of confusion. That's what I asked Filmic Pro. This was on Monday. You can see the timestamp. This was on private message in Twitter. This is the response that I got, which is different than what I've seen online. We have not settled on a final pricing model at this time. We have not settled on a final pricing model at this time. So all the prices and stuff that we've seen are not final. I don't know if they're testing the waters or what they're doing, but the pricing that we've seen so far is not final. This was a message from them directly. Here's some of the things they said I could say. Question: If I update the app, will I have to go ahead with the subscription model? Answer: not at this time. Filmic Pro users that have already purchased it in the past will be able to enjoy the current version of the app without any additional cost. Now, we've heard about that, right? We've heard about that you keep on using version 6, but there's been some paywall stuff going on. There's been some clicks, buttons they have to click to accept the terms of service and all, which seemed confusing, which they were. So they said, not at this time. Pro users have already done that version of the app with additional costs. Then they go on to say, the upcoming new Filmic Pro V7 will be offered only with a subscription, but current users will always be able to use Filmic Pro V6 without additional costs. V7 is subscription. We all know that. We know that. V6, from what they said, current users will always be able to use Filmic Pro V6 without additional costs. And then they also said this: if you purchased V6 and are unable to pass the paywall to get access to Filmic Pro without subscribing, please write to our support team for further assistance. filmicpro.com/support. These are very good things to do for your customers. So they're saying you can always use Final Cut Filmic Pro V6 without having to use a subscription with all your add-ons and everything. And if you're having problems getting past the paywall to Filmic Pro without subscribing, please write to the support team for further assistance. Very good customer service. That's what we expect from Filmic Pro. That is very good. So we don't necessarily like the subscription. It really depends. It really depends for me. I've already bought V6 and I'll use V6 for the time being. But if they add a couple of things, the main thing I want them to add for me to continue using it, I would pay a subscription to use their app. I'm going to say $20 a year, $19 a year. But they have to have a lot of features during that year, not just a couple of dribs and drabs, but a lot of good features to justify paying that $17 or $18 or $15 or whatever. Below 20 or below per year, I would consider if Filmic Pro adds live camera switching while you're recording, switching the lenses while you're recording. Because right now, if I want to switch from one lens to the other lens to the other lens, to my 3 lenses, I have to stop the recording, click, 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 change the lens, start a recording. Well, I stream live a lot. I also interview people live, and I'm constantly switching my lenses. I'm constantly switching my 3 lenses. I don't have to do that with the native camera app. And there's about 4 or 5 other apps I don't have to do that with. I don't have to stop the recording, switch lenses, click, 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 start the recording. If Filmic Pro and V7 offered live camera switching while recording, that would be a big deal for me. And I would consider a medium price subscription. There's 3 or 4 other apps that do that, so I don't need to do that, but I do like Filmic Pro. So here we go. I saw the accept terms red button was an error and was not meant. We won't get any updates anymore, and eventually it will stop working with iOS correctly. Incorrect. That is incorrect. We'll go back to my Q&A. Here we go. Question, will people who bought Filmic continue to get free app updates, or will they eventually hit a paywall subscription? Answer, Filmic Pro users that have already purchased V6 in the past will be able to enjoy the current version of the app without any additional cost. That's only part of the answer. Here's the rest of it. It is our intent to keep V6 supported for the foreseeable future. They're going to support V6 for the future. If critical bug fixes are necessary to ensure support for the next version of iOS or 2, then we will absolutely be making accommodations to provide for that. So Filmic Pro is supporting V6 for bug fixes and iOS updates for a version or 2. They didn't just drop V6, Filmic Pro V6, and said sayonara. They said, no, we're going to support critical bug fixes and iOS updates for a version or 2. So iOS updates, 1 or 2 years. That's what their intent is. So this is important. This I have also not seen this anywhere else. Let's just go back there again. It is our intent to keep V6 supported for the foreseeable future. If critical bug fixes are necessary to ensure support for the next version of iOS or 2, the next version, 16 and 17 or 2, then we will absolutely be making accommodations to provide for that. Now, it's not features. They're not saying features. They're saying critical bug fixes or iOS updates that cripple V6. So V6 should be working for you for the next year or so. Thank you, Filmic Pro, for providing that information for my audience, and thank you for doing that for your customers. It's very important to support your customers. Thanks for this discussion, Richard. New Mexico, USA. You're more than welcome. But no new features for legacy versions, effectively killing it. Well, it doesn't kill it. You can use it exactly as it is. It doesn't stop working, and they're going to provide critical bug fixes and iOS update fixes. That's what their intention is. It doesn't effectively kill it. It works fine the way it is. I have a original Mac Pro downstairs. I have Final Cut Pro 7 on it. I have a lot of legacy things. It is frozen and it works fine. I also have my recording studio software on it. I also have an original MacBook Pro. It has Final Cut Pro 10.0.0 on it. It's frozen, and every once in a while I go back to that. I have to do something. It has Final Cut Pro 7 and Final Cut Pro 10.0.0. So it works fine. Now, obviously, you're not going to get new features. New features are going to require version 7. But remember this. We have not settled on a final pricing model at this time. So keep giving Filmic Pro your feedback. Keep telling them you don't like the subscription model. But if it has to be subscription, something reasonable. $9.99 a year. That would be fantastic. That would be well worth it, wouldn't it? With new features. Like I said, I won't upgrade to version 7 unless it has live camera switching while recording. If they have live camera switching while recording, which 3 or 4 other apps have it on the App Store, Pro Camera apps, my live streaming software, not this software, but when I'm mobile, I use, I forget what it's called, Prism Live. I can switch the cameras while I'm live streaming with Prism Live. There's 3 or 4, well, the native camera app, you can switch cameras while you're filming live. And listen, I have 3 cameras now. Next week, tomorrow, I'll have 4. I'll have 1 times, 2 times optical zoom, 3 times optical zoom, and 0.5. So I'll have 4 cameras I want to be able to switch between while I'm recording live. So Filmic Pro has that. 2 things. If Filmic Pro has live camera switching, lens switching while recording without having to switch, and some kind of a nice smooth transition, Apple Camera app does it the best. They have like a 1 or 2 frame quick transition between switching cameras. They do something. I will consider buying it and renting it or whatever, subscribing if the cost is $20 or less per year. $50 per year, no. $100 per year, it's ridiculous price. You have too much competition out there. 20 or below, if they give us a lot of new features for the year, and if it has live camera switching. I will not subscribe without live camera switching. I don't think so. Maybe I would. Filmic subscriptions, please no. I listen, I understand. Everybody has, we're going to talk about what everybody thinks about different things. So, do you think a reasonable subscription price would be okay? I mean, would you pay $5 a year for subscription updates? That's not too bad. There's a couple of subscriptions that I do, but there's other models that I just buy the new app, ScreenFlow. Almost every year they update to a new version from 10 to 11, from 9 to 10. And it's always you're paying full price, or if you catch it in the first 24 to 48 hours, you get it for a discount, the full version. So what if Filmic Pro just charged you an upgrade price to version 7? Buy the app at version 7, but it was $20. Or they said you can subscribe for $20. Is that too much? $5 isn't too much. $10 isn't too much. You want to support them going forward. Now, I understand it's not the best situation, but would you suppose they said, we're not going to do subscription, but we're going to charge you for version 7? Would you say that's okay? I don't think there's that much difference between subscription, reasonable, $20 or less, and buying a new version or getting an upgrade. See, the thing is, we legacy users that have already had it, we should get an upgrade path, a discount subscription. The software that I'm streaming on, Ecamm Live, I had a perpetual license that never needed update. It still doesn't. But if I wanted to get pro features, I had to subscribe to the service. However, they gave me a very, very good discount on the subscription because I'm a legacy user, because I have a perpetual license. And I can go back to the perpetual license if I ever wanted to. So that would be fantastic. Do you really want to keep using an app that has a better version available with subscription? I don't. Okay, that's fine. I understand. I'm not here trying to sell you on a subscription for Filmic Pro. I do like the app a lot, but I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. A subscription for $20, this weekly one, it was ridiculous. What if they gave 99 cents a week? Then you could subscribe if you wanted to use it for a week for 99 cents and then unsubscribe until you needed it again. It's a bit of a hassle. I'm not here to support the subscription. I'm saying, since the reality is that version 7 is going to be a subscription, I'm looking at the reality. They've come forward with some nice things. First off, they haven't settled on a price yet. Keep giving them feedback. Keep saying don't give us this $2.99 a week. It was very confusing. When I messaged them, I said, your messaging is really all over the place. You have 4 different prices for one thing, and they're all different, and who the heck knows? I'd be happy with an upgrade price for existing users. I would too. Especially with all this turmoil that they've caused. This is like the Final Cut Pro 10 rollout. It's really, you're losing a lot of good faith from customers. So if version 7 is going to be subscription, give people who bought the app a discount subscription. Give us the ability to have a discount subscription versus a new user. Look, Filmic Pro, if you're watching this, I don't know if you are or not. The thing is that we're the ones that put you where you are. The users have put you where you are, have got you to this level. Don't forget us. Listen to what you're telling you. So one of the things is give people who own the app a discount on the subscription to V7 if they want to. But also thank you for saying you're going to continue to support V6 for bug fixes and iOS updates, 1 or 2. So that's the next year or so you're going to support that. But you also said that no, V6 will not stop working if you go to the subscription. If you want to try out the subscription, see if it has features that you want. But the thing is, Filmic Pro, there's lots of competition on the App Store. I'm sure you know. I've got 10 Pro apps in the App Store, something like that. So what's the price now? Why is this not enough when they make new version each year? Because they haven't charged us for the new version. That's why. It was buy once, get the updates for free, kind of like Final Cut Pro. That's the problem. That's not sustainable for them. I have no problem with a company saying, look, we have to go to subscription in order to survive. First off, they did it too quickly. If you're going to do something like this, announce it 6 months ahead of time. Let people get used to it. It just came out all of a sudden, and it's thrust upon us. And there's a lot of confusion. There still is confusion. But they have not settled on here. We have not settled on a final pricing model at this time. They have not settled. Contrary to what you've seen online, the different prices, they have not settled on a final pricing model. So that means you can still get in there and tell them what you think. Plenty of, on Twitter, write to support, whatever you want to do. Tell them. Is the subscription model my preference? No, it's not. I'd rather even just buy version 7. Pay for version 7 with the discount since I own version 6. So just say version 7 came out and you could buy it. $20 without the add-ons, just version 7. If you bought the add-ons, they get to roll over. But if you have version 6, you get it for $10. That would be fine. That would be okay. Would you object to paying $20 for version 7 if you could buy it? Versus a subscription. I'm not a fan of subscriptions either for most things. Eric Emmerich says, I really like the Moment app. I do too, and I have a whole suite of Moment lenses. Speaking of Moment, one of the things that they have a sale this week. This is very peculiar. And I emailed them. They have a sale for the next week on iPhone 4 cases and stuff. However, they haven't tested the iPhone 4 with their lenses yet. So I emailed them and they answered back. I said, please extend this sale after you've tested the lenses. I'm not going to buy your cases and your iPhone 14 stuff if there's a problem with your lenses in iPhone 14. That makes zero sense. We had that with the iPhone 13 with the telephoto lens doesn't work on the telephoto, on the iPhone 13 Pro telephoto. They don't recommend doing that. You can put it on the regular lens, but not the telephoto lens. So there's a problem there. Let's see if there's problems with your lenses and your cases while you're having a sale. If you buy the sale price, 15% off, you're flying blind if there's a problem with your lenses in the new iPhone 14. So give us an extension. Give the sale price. Let us reserve the sale price after you've tested your lenses. You haven't tested your lenses with the iPhone 14 yet. Apple's update to the camera app with iPhone 14 might compete with Filmic Pro in some good ways. Now, there's an update to the camera app? I was wishing for that. Where have you seen that? I haven't seen this update to the camera app. Apple's update to the camera app with iPhone 14 might compete with Filmic in some good ways. Can you please tell me if you know that to be a fact? I have not seen that. I have not seen that. So are you satisfied with the Filmic Pro response? I mean, yes, we don't like restrictions. We don't like subscriptions. And nobody really likes them, especially after you used 10 years of buying the app and supporting it. So, yes, I don't like them. However, I'm a realist. If that's what it's going to be going forward, make it reasonable. Don't be charging $50 a year for your app. $20 or less a year is something that I could live with if you have a whole roadmap of features coming forward. And even better, give it to us for $10 a year if we already own version 6. We're the ones that supported you all these years. We, the customers, have got you where you are today. Without customers, without pro users doing all these tutorials for Filmic Pro, recommending Filmic Pro, blah, 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 you wouldn't be anywhere where you are today. The customers and people that recommend your app and people that do tutorials are the ones that got you where you are today. Obviously, you've worked on it as well. Apple's camera app also enables ProRes recording. I realize that, but let me know about a camera app update. I've not seen it anywhere. You're the only one that said that. I was wishing for it. Apple makes so much money from the share from other app makers' video apps to make a better app themselves. I wish they would. I wish that the camera app had white balance controls, manual and automatic, and it had audio controls. It doesn't even have VU meters. Apple, audio is 50% of good video, good audio. Give us VU meters in the app. Give us a volume control for the mic in the app. And give us a selection. We can select what mic we want to use on the iPhone. Or if we plug in an external mic system, you can choose that. Oh, we're going to talk about the iPhone next. I think we're done with Filmic Pro, right? Let's talk about the iPhone. If you have any more questions about Filmic Pro, we'll talk about that. Wonder if we have to turn off stabilization on all our video apps, we turn on the new anti-shake option in the new iPhone. I guess that'll be something we'll have to see how that goes. The problem with subscriptions is when used in the classroom with, yes, I agree. Classrooms are absolutely a problem if you use, I mean, is anybody going to recommend Filmic Pro in the classroom anymore? No. Not a subscription? No. Why would they? There's half a dozen other apps you can get that you can pay for or have a very low subscription. I've seen some subscriptions as low as $2.99, $3.99 a year. It looks like they're quiet up in my attic. They've been quiet for the time being, so they were really loud before. They're banging sheet metal and banging on the wood and doing sawing something and everything. They're putting a whole new duct system in my house. I have a 90-foot long house, so that I think the duct system is like 55 feet long and all the tentacles out from the duct system. They're redoing the whole thing, so it's a lot of work. So let's talk about the iPhone 14. I think we're done with Filmic Pro. I think I've talked about them enough. if we have any questions, I'll try to answer them for you. Let's talk about the iPhone 14. So I am getting, just like I got, in the past, I got the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I'm getting the iPhone 14 Pro Max. I'm trading in this one to Apple. Maybe they make it very easy. I trade it in on the purchase. Once they get it, they give me credit back on on the card. The other thing is, if you have an Apple card, you get 3% back from your purchase if you get an iPhone 14. So I'm getting the iPhone, the same as I got now, the iPhone 14 Pro Max, 1 terabyte SSD. Now, this has got the 1 terabyte SSD. I don't need a 2 terabyte. I already have this half filled right now. I take things off of this. Speaking of that, Apple, this Lightning port is complete and utter nonsense. It's an embarrassment. It's just like your upside down mouse charging. This Lightning port is USB 2 speeds from 10 years ago. This should have been, regular USB. This should have been USB-C. I'm sure it's coming next year because Europe is making them. Thank God. Making them. You know what Apple's excuse is I read online? Oh, it'll cost too much environmental waste if we switch the Lightning port. What? That's craziness. Give us the highest speed you can. Lightning is USB 2.0 speeds. So I never use Lightning for transferring photos and videos off my iPhone. Never, never. First off, it's clunky in Final Cut Pro. It just does weird stuff and data disappears and stuff. I use AirDrop exclusively. So what I do, I don't do 100 videos at once. I'll do a group, half a dozen. Collect them in the iPhone, AirDrop them, go make coffee. When I come back, they're in my downloads folder. That's what I do. AirDrop is much, much better than the iPhone, than the Lightning port. However, there's one reason I'm really glad about the Lightning port, because that's how I get Pro Audio in here. Lightning. That's how I get Pro Audio in. Now, of course, I could do it with USB-C too, but right now, everything I have is Lightning going in here. So I'm glad for that reason. I use a Sennheiser 8KE 400 medium shotgun for the front-facing mic. And then for me, I have the DJI mic system. I had the Rode Wireless Go 2 for the longest time, but I sold all my Rode Wireless Go 2 mics, and I just use the DJI mic now. So I have one mic on me, and I have the Sennheiser MKE 400 pointing forward at whoever I'm interviewing. So I have stereo, 2 mono mics that I can adjust separately inside of Final Cut Pro for post. For live, it's just whatever it is, it is. Yep, good point. Subscriptions in the classroom are definitely problematic, absolutely. No 2 terabyte option, bummer, and no USB port. Next year seems a sweet spot. Well, since I use my iPhone for a lot of my filming and a lot of my live streaming, I'm getting a new one every year. That's just the way it is. It's my main camera that I use. I have it with me all the time. I have it by my bedside when I'm sleeping. I have it with me everywhere I go. So since I use it all the time, I use it for a lot. I'm not using it now, obviously, although you'll be able to. I get a new one every year, at least as long as they update the video portion. Photography, I don't care about as much. I'm interested in video. So what happened to the 8K video everybody was talking about? 8K video didn't happen. No 2 terabyte option. I would not get a 2 terabyte because the 1 terabyte's been fine for the last year. I can manage that. So let's talk about the eSIM for North America. I don't know enough about it. I mean, I guess it's okay. Do I need a SIM card in 2022? People were complaining because they get prepaid SIM cards when they travel to Europe, but I guess it's okay, right? I can just call up my carrier when I get my card. I got a unregistered one. It's not registered to any carrier. So I can call up any carrier and say whatever the information they need, and they transfer over electronically, I guess. I guess that's how it works. You don't even need Wi-Fi to do that, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So one of the things so there's a couple things. No 8K recording. No, I kept saying, if that's even real, every time I commented on that the last week before they released it, I said, 8K recording, is that even real? I think they did 8K recording based on the 48 megapixel sensor size. I think that's what they were figuring. But it's like, I shoot 4K and I'm fine. My GH5, I shoot 4K. My iPhone, I shoot 4K. I don't go over that. So 8K was like, I'm never going to shoot 8K, not for the time being. And 2 terabyte, I don't need it. I have a 4 terabyte drive on my MacBook Pro because I do need it, but not on the iPhone. The iPhone, I can manage my media. 1 terabyte is more than enough. I can take the media off via AirDrop, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we talked about that. I bring in my videos to Final Cut Pro from the Photos app. But you're connected via Lightning? Is that what you are, connected via Lightning, or you do it somehow via AirDrop or wirelessly? I don't use Lightning. I do not use Lightning. I don't even charge with Lightning. I have a MagSafe. I charge it at night. It lasts all day. So I don't even charge. But I've had problems with getting photos of video files from my iPhone into Final Cut Pro. Problems. Weird problems. So I just do it via AirDrop. Let me turn that down a little bit. There we go. So one of the other things that was confusing initially with the Apple event was cinematic mode. Now, as it turns out, cinematic mode is now 4K, up to 4K, and they have 2 frame rates, 24 frames per second and 30 frames per second. But on the Apple website, it says at 30 frames per second. It says up to 4K at 30 frames per second. They do not say specifically 24 frames per second. And let me show you this. Okay, here we go. This was confusing yesterday. I'm also going to play you a video that added to the confusion. Initially, I thought it was only going to be 30 frames per second at 4K because of 2 things. Number one, what they said during the live stream, and also the specs on the video recording. Now look at this. Sorry, I was muted. Let me go back here again. So cinematic mode up to 4K at 30 frames per second, right? It does not say up to 30 frames per second. It says up to 4K at 30 frames per second, okay? They specify 30 frames per second. But up here, 4K video recording, they specify 24 frames per second, 25 frames per second, 30 frames per second, or 60 frames per second. HD does not have 24 frames per second. It specifies 25 frames, 30 frames, or 60 frames. 720p only has 30 frames per second. It does not have 24 frames per second. At 30 frames per second. Cinematic mode up to 4K at 30 frames per second. Initially, I thought it was only 30 frames per second, But there's been other videos from Apple that says no, cinematic 4K at 24. So it is 24. But this, you know, they specified all these frame rates. They specify 720 only at 30 frames. And then they say 4K at 30 frames per second. So I was thinking, is that all they're going to do? But no, it indeed is 24 frames per second at 4K cinematic mode. Now, here's something else that was convincing me of that. Listen to
And cinematic mode gets a great update, now supporting up to 4K resolution and 30 frames per second for even more detail. And cinematic mode gets a great update, now supporting up to 4K resolution and 30 frames per second for even
This is what they said in the keynote yesterday. Now supporting up to 4K and 30 frames per second. This is what they said in the thing. Now, they put out other videos. They put out other videos describing the iPhone, and they indeed say 24 frames per second. But the fact that that keynote said 30 frames per second in 4K, and also the website also said 30 frames per second. 30 frames per second. I'm like, are they just sticking to 30 frames per second? But no, they absolutely have 24 frames per second. Let me show you. Pull that up there. I think I have it here. Prices, terms of service. Let me try this one. Here we go. Breathtaking 20 frames per second. Cinematic mode now shoots 4K HDR at 24 frames per second, the industry film standard. So they absolutely do shoot it. But initially, I'm like, at two places it says 30 frames per second. What the heck's going on? Couldn't figure it out. But indeed, it is 30 frames. Anti-shake option is controlled within the Apple 14 camera app, just like ProRes recording. That's what you're talking about, the improvements to the camera app. So you turn it on in the settings. That's interesting. Anti-shake option. So what is that called? Let's pull that up here. Did I put that here? So we're talking about this beautiful creature. I got the space black. Let me see. So one of the things, let me go back to my camera here. Does that over here? Green, blue. Let me go back to here. Is it over here? Anyway, one of the things that I was curious about, how are they doing that 2x optical zoom? They have the 1, 3, and 0.5 optical lenses. How are they doing a 0.2, which is very handy? I figured it out. Let me see if I can. Where the heck is that? Prices. Nope, must be over here. iPhone lenses. Is it here? Nope. That's one of the things is those lenses are really protruding. They are very. You have a bump around the iPhone itself, and then an additional lens protrusion above that. That thing really, really sticks out. Let me see what this is. This is up to 2x better, low light photos, ultra wide, low light photos, true depth, low light. It does have the A16 Bionic chip. We know that. It also has SOS via satellite, which is an interesting thing. And let me see what this one is. Here it is. Here's what I was curious how they do it. So the 2x optical zoom is on the main camera lens, 48 megapixel quad pixel camera lens. What they do is 1x is 24 millimeter, 2x is 48 millimeter. So how they're getting that optical 2x zoom is they're using a different part of the sensor. The whole sensor is 48 megapixels, but in order to do a 2x optical zoom, they're using a portion of it, smaller portion, something like that. That's how they're doing that. Let's see what else we have. So, yeah, I'm getting the iPhone 14 Pro Max, 1 terabyte drive, space black. Not even space gray this time, but space black. Is anybody else buying one, or am I the only one that's going to buy one? Order it tomorrow morning. Hopefully I'll get it next week. What happened with my MacBook Pro when I ordered it last year? I went online and ordered it right away. The specs that I had, they said it was 4 or 5 weeks out. When they went on sale, I went to the store in Columbia, Maryland. I ordered it from there, and I picked it up from there the same day it went on sale, the exact one that I wanted. So if for some reason my iPhone 14 Pro Max order doesn't go through properly, I will wait for them to go on sale, and I'll go up to the Columbia store, order it online, pick up, and see if I can, one way or the other. I hope that I'll get it next week, and then I'll do some test shooting with the 4K cinematic. I'm excited about that. And I'm also excited about the 24 frames per second with the cinematic mode. So let's see what else we have. Yes, action mode is the new anti-shake nomenclature. It absolutely is. They're saying it is gimbal-like stabilization. Gimbal-like stabilization. The stabilization in the iPhone 13 Pro Max is pretty darn good. They say this is twice as good. Action mode. And one of a kind said you have to activate that in the... I don't think you activate that in the camera app, do you? Or just in settings? Oh, I see, in settings, yeah. Activate that in settings. I'd love to see the native camera app updated with better stuff. So we have better low light. That's important. Front camera autofocus. I didn't know the front camera didn't have autofocus. Who the heck knew? 48 megapixels, 2x zoom option, which is what we just talked about. Yes, shoots 2.8K at 60 frames per second. Very, very cool. Very cool. Cinematic mode at 30 and 24 frames per second. Always on display. I like that. Instead of having to hold your thing up, flipping it up, and then it looks at your face, always on display. All-day battery, the A16 Bionic chip, and eSIM. eSIM doesn't excite me one way or the other. I don't know how that's going to do. So, I think that's it. Oh, here's one other thing that I like. That's that one. Here's one. Oh, this one. A display that's up to 2x brighter in the sun. I do a lot of live streaming outside in the sun, and I cannot, for the life of me, see that iPhone screen half the time. I have brightness up all the way. You just can't see it. So 2x brighter in the sun, very welcome for me because I film and do live streaming quite a bit. The other features are cool, but I buy the phone for video recording. So I'm glad it's coming. I'll be up at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'll be up way before that. So this guy knows a lot. One of a kind. Main camera 2x optical zoom is 12 megapixels, not 48. Right, but what I'm saying is it's not using the full 48 megapixels. It's zooming in on the 12. That's how it does it 2x, and it stays optical. It's not a digital zoom. Whatever trickery they're doing, I'm glad to have a 2x zoom option. That I don't want digital. I don't want a digital zoom. So anyway, everyone, my name's Richard Taylor, as you probably very well know. Richard Taylor TV over there at YouTube. And on Facebook and Twitter and all those social media places. That's where you can find me. I'm going to finish up here. I really listen, I really appreciate you. Filmic Pro, appreciate your customers. Please listen to them. There's apparently still time. They haven't figured out a final pricing model yet. We thought they did because they have prices up. If you have problems getting past this version 7 subscription, you want to stay with 6, email support. Those are good things to do. But I appreciate all the watchers, the listeners, the viewers. Appreciate each and every one of you. And I think that's it for today. Once again, over here, YouTube, Richard Taylor TV. Please go over there and subscribe. And I will see you the next time we go live. iPhone 14 and the Pro Max today. iPhone 14 Pro Max and Filmic Pro. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you the next